Welcome back, everyone. My name is Miss Bearden, and I'm a librarian for St. Tammany Parish Schools. Glad you could join me today. We are going to read Chapter 19 of Lila and Hadley. It's the end of July, only a couple weeks before the start of the school year, when Celia gives me the biggest challenge yet. She'd warned me at our last lesson, while the younger kids were packing up their things, that the next session would be one-on-one. And that, instead of meeting me at my community center, she'd be picking me up from Beth's house. So on Monday afternoon, Mrs. McGraw, with Lila's leash in hand, waves me off as I climb into Celia's minivan. I shut my door, buckle my seatbelt before turning to look at my teacher. "So, where are we going?" "Not too far," she answers, backing out of the short driveway. "You've been doing so well with your cane technique, and you picked up on street crossing methods really fast. So I thought today I'd give you a bit of a challenge." I ain't sure what that means, and if I'm being honest, it makes me a little nervous. But I don't got a lot of time to think about it because Celia only drives for a couple minutes before parking the car and cutting the engine. We're on a busy street, well, as busy as any of the streets around here seem to get, with cars parked on either side. There are several buildings, too, clustered close together, but I can't tell what they are. Shops or offices or something. We must be downtown. "Okay," Celia says, undoing her seatbelt and swiveling to reach into the back seat. She grabs something that looks like a binder for easing back into the driver's seat. "So today I'm going to have you go on a route, but we're going to do it a little differently than usual. Instead of walking close behind you and directing you where to go, I'm going to make a map for you to memorize. I'll be walking behind you at a distance, but I won't be saying anything unless you really need help. The goal is for you to feel like you're doing this on your own." "Okay," I say. "I guess, but you're forgetting one big thing." "What's that?" "I'm not going to be able to see a map real well, I don't think." "Oh, I didn't forget," Celia says. She opens the binder and places it in my lap. On one side of the open binder, there's a sheet of black Velcro. On the other, there's a zipped pocket filled with various thin pieces of plastic. I ain't sure what the heck this is supposed to be. Even when Celia unzips the pocket and shows me the plastic pieces, most of which are long, thin rectangles, have Velcro on the back. "Well, what's this?" "This is how I'm going to make a map," Celia explains. "One you can see, but also feel if you need to. These pieces will be streets. I'll lay out the route here, then give you a couple minutes to memorize it before we get started." Celia walks me through placing the plastic pieces onto the Velcro sheet, letting the long, thin pieces serve as a path I'm meant to take. She even has me put little spaces between the pieces to show where I'll need to cross a street. And when we're done, I'm holding sort of a 3D map I can run my fingers over as I try to memorize the several turns I'll have to make, which will eventually lead back to my starting point near the van. And according to Celia, right in front of the best ice cream shop in town. "I know this might seem silly," Celia admits. "You have a cell phone and you can probably pull up a map on there and even have the phone give you directions with the voiceover function. We'll do a route like that at some point, if you want, but there are going to be times when that might not be an option. Maybe your phone is dead or you don't have a signal or Wi-Fi. So it's always a good idea to have a route in mind before you go somewhere alone. Since you can't see street signs, you'll have to know exactly where you're going, counting street crossings and stuff like that. Making a route like this, something you can memorize by touching it if you want, is always an option." "Right, but my stomach is tying itself in knots. I've done a lot of walking around Beth's neighborhood, but it's always been with her or Shelby. The farthest I've had to walk alone is to the dog park, and that's mostly a straight shot from Beth's house. Not a lot to remember. As if she can sense my worry, Celia says, "Like I said, I'll be walking behind you. If there's any chance you're in danger or if it seems like you're struggling, I'll be right here to help. Just take a couple more minutes to get a feel for it, and we'll get started." I run my hands over the plastic pieces, trying to learn the map both visually and tactily. My lips move around the words as I say the route to myself a few times. 2 blocks up, turn left. 3 blocks, turn right. But eventually Celia gently takes the binder from my lap and closes it, tucking it under her arm. "All right," she says, "let's get started." I climb out of the minivan and unfold my cane while I wait for Celia to come around. She meets me on the sidewalk and gives me an encouraging smile, which honestly just makes me feel irritated because it's more pressure if I mess up, before sending me off. The first block is easy, of course. I just got to walk straight down the sidewalk to the curb. I try and focus on my cane, on keeping the sweeps in step with my feet, on catching myself once it gets caught in the cracks to avoid stabbing myself in the belly. This really ain't so different from walking in Beth's neighborhood. But then I reach the first street crossing, and this is real different from Beth's neighborhood. Because Beth's neighborhood ain't got a lot of traffic. But we're downtown today, and even though this ain't a big town, there are still more cars here than where Beth lives. I can hear them all whooshing by, but watching for them is hard since my vision is so tunneled now. I've crossed busier streets than this before, but only with someone else telling me when it was safe to go, or with Celia, who taught me how to do it safely but was always right near me when I did it. Now Celia's way behind me, and I'm on my own. "Don't make this a big deal, Hadley," I scold myself. "She taught you how to do this. It ain't that hard." I turn to watch and listen to the traffic at my left. It's running north, the same direction I'm walking. Once it starts moving, that'll mean it's safe for me to cross because the cars heading east and west won't be able to go through the intersection. Celia always tells me it's okay to use what vision I got left, but to trust my ears more, so I do. And when it sounds like the first car is about halfway through the intersection, so I know it ain't gonna turn, I start walking. I gotta fight the urge to run through the crosswalk to get to safety faster, but I know if I do that, I might trip over my cane, which really ain't meant for jogging. So I walk fast, and when I reach the other side, I feel a huge sense of relief. At least until I remember that based on the route Celia made me map, there are about 12 more to go before this is over. But really, it ain't quite as scary after that. As time goes by, I'm focusing more on remembering the rest of the route than I am on being nervous. About halfway through, I stop at a corner because I can't remember if I'm supposed to keep going straight or turn. "Dang it," I muttered, trying to remember. I know I've gone 2 blocks since the last turn. I've been counting streets like Celia taught me, but I'm completely blanking on what I'm supposed to do next. I take a deep breath and close my eyes for a second, trying to remember the little plastic pieces on the Velcro. I imagine running my hands over it the way I had, tracing it with my fingertips. I follow the route from the starting point, remembering all the crossings and turns right up until I reach where I am now and straight. 1 more block straight, and then I turn again. I keep moving. It takes me about half an hour to walk the full route, which ain't real fast. I probably could have done it better, but I know it ain't about speed. And in all the time, I didn't get lost or run over by a car or even have to stop and holler to Celia for help. I did it completely on my own. And I only jabbed myself in the belly with my cane 3 or 4 times. So when I reach the place where we started, I've actually got a smile on my face. And when Celia catches up, I think she notices. "You did it," Celia says to me. "Nice work." I know it seems like a silly thing to feel so proud of. I just took a 30-minute walk by myself, but I do. It's left me feeling energetic and excited wanting to map out paths on my own. That one street crossing was kind of hard, I admit. The T-shaped one? That took me a minute. I know, but I knew you had it under control, Celia says. And now that you've done this once, we'll get more practice soon with longer routes and different types of street crossings. But for today, you did a very good job, Hadley. Thanks. And now, she says, looking past me at the ice cream shop, we still have a bit of time before I need to get you back home. What do you say we grab some ice cream? After Celia and I each eat one of our cones of ice cream and step back outside, I pass her my phone and ask if she wouldn't mind taking a picture of me. Sure, she says. I take a few steps away from her, then strike a real cute pose with my cane held out in front of me, right there for the camera to see. When we're back in the van, I look at the picture. I hesitate for a minute before taking a deep breath and posting it. Hadley being 13. I got a new fashion accessory, and it's actually kind of useful too. I feel anxious about sharing it as soon as I hit post. I'm still nervous about people making fun of me or feeling sorry for me for having to use it. But after the last few weeks, and today especially, I can't deny it's helpful. I'm still pretty scared about the future, about what's going to happen as my vision gets worse, but today I feel a little less scared, I guess. I gotta accept that the cane is just going to be a big part of my life and probably forever. I ain't going to be able to hide it, and I shouldn't have to. So might as well let everyone see it on my terms, I guess. We ain't even back to Beth's house when my phone buzzes with notifications from Joey and Maya commenting on the picture. Maya Fairlady, you're so cute, it Hadley being 13. I miss you so much. When you come back to visit, will you show us how you use it? Baby Kangaroo 42. You look kind of awesome holding on to that thing. Are you allowed to trip people with it? Just kidding, LMAO. Baby Kangaroo 42. Come visit us at Hadley being 13. And then a few minutes later after that, Shelby comments too. Shells bells. So stylish. This picture would only be better if Lila was in it with you. Ha ha. I type out a quick reply. Well, not quick, because seeing the phone is hard and it takes me forever to type things out, but still. Hadley being 13. Thanks, y'all. So glad I have friends like you. Once we get back to Beth's house, I say goodbye to Celia. I hop out of the van, hurry up the sidewalk to the front door. I'm so happy about how the lesson went that I'm not paying attention. So I don't notice that Beth's car is in the driveway, even though she isn't supposed to be home yet. Instead, I just bound up the steps and push open the door, assuming I'll find Mrs. McGraw and Lila waiting inside. But it ain't Mrs. McGraw sitting on the couch when I walk into the living room. It's my sister. Her long blonde hair is pulled back, and she's still wearing her work clothes while she reads something on her phone. Hey, Beth, I say. Lila runs up to me, tail wagging, and I kneel down to scratch behind her ears. You're home early. Yeah. Beth sets her phone aside. She hesitates for a second before asking, how was your lesson? Good, I say. Real good, actually. Celia helped me make this raised map, and I did this route by myself. Well, she was behind me, but I was mostly by myself. Anyways, I did pretty well. That's great, Hadley, Beth says. But she sounds a little distracted, and it makes me deflate a little. Something wrong? No, not at all, Beth says. Come sit down a second. I want to talk to you about something. Every muscle in my body tenses up. I don't like it when grown-ups tell me they want to talk about something. Last time it happened, Mama told me she was going to jail. What is it? Come sit down, Hadley. No, I say, my hands frozen behind Lila's ears. Lila butts at me with her head, wanting me to keep petting. Tell me what's going on. Beth sighs. Okay, it's good news, actually, about Lila. I think we found her a home. Oh, we wait till next time to hear how this ends. Thanks for listening. And I look forward to seeing you next time for Chapter 20. If you like stories like this, keep listening on stpsb.org. Keep learning and keep reading.